The chandelier sparkled overhead like nothing bad could ever happen beneath it, but Samantha Turner felt like she couldn't breathe. The dining room was filled with polite laughter, crystal glasses, and the soft clinking of silverware. But she only saw one thing. Marcus Wilson was standing now, his tall frame oozing confidence as he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Time slowed. The box hit the table with a soft thud. He turned to her, smiled that practiced, empty smile, and dropped to one knee beside her chair. "Samantha Turner," he said, flipping open the lid to reveal a diamond that looked like it belonged in a museum vault. "Would you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" She didn't hear the gasps. She didn't see her mother's hand fly to her chest or her father's forced smile. All she saw was a future locked inside that box. No freedom, no college, no business, no dreams. Just this life, their life. Not hers. This wasn't a proposal. It was a contract, and she was the product. Samantha didn't cry. She didn't stutter. She didn't say, "I'm sorry." She simply stood, her hands trembling at her sides, and said, "I need some air." The room froze, but she didn't wait. She stepped outside onto the back porch and let the night air fill her lungs like oxygen she hadn't tasted in years. Then came the footsteps. Marcus. His smile was gone. "You embarrassed me," he snapped, his voice low, sharp. "I don't love you," she replied, quiet but firm. "You don't need to," he said. "This isn't about love. It's about legacy." And that's when she knew. There was no way back. She turned and walked into the house, her face calm, her chest on fire. Her mother was waiting, not with questions, not with understanding, but with rage. "You ungrateful little girl," Margaret hissed. "You've ruined everything." Samantha stood her ground. "I won't marry a man I don't choose." The slap came out of nowhere. The sound cracked louder than the thunder outside. Her cheek burned. Her eyes watered from the pain, not the emotion. Then came the whisper. Cold, final. "Get out of my house." Samantha stared at her father, silent, motionless. He didn't defend her. He didn't say her name. He just reached into his wallet, pulled out 3 crumpled $100 bills, and pressed them into her palm. "I'm sorry," he murmured. Then he opened the front door. Rain poured. Wind howled. Samantha stepped out alone. No suitcase, no coat, no goodbye. The rain hadn't stopped by the time Samantha reached the bus stop. Her dress clung to her skin. Her shoes were soaked. Her cheek still stung from her mother's slap. But the worst part? She had no idea where to go. Then her trembling fingers did the only thing her pride didn't block. They dialed Audrey. Audrey Jackson had been her best friend since 5th grade. Loud. Loyal. From a family her mother called low class with a tone that made it sound contagious. But Audrey had always been real. 30 minutes later, headlights pulled up. An old green Honda Civic, the passenger door patched with duct tape, squeaked to a stop in front of her. "Get in," Audrey said, pushing the door open. No questions, no judgment, just rescue. Inside the car, it smelled like French fries, motor oil, and second chances. That night, Samantha didn't sleep in a 4-poster bed beneath silk sheets. She curled up on a scratchy couch in Audrey's living room, wrapped in a spare blanket, listening to the creak of old pipes and the scurry of mice in the walls. And still, she breathed easier, because for the first time in her life, the air was hers to breathe. That night, she wasn't disowned. She was erased. Samantha's days blurred together, early mornings, endless hours, aching feet. By sunrise, she was on her feet behind the counter at the coffee shop, smiling at customers while her stomach growled. By afternoon, she was running deliveries for the local grocery, carrying bags that felt heavier than her dreams. By night, she was in class at community college, too tired to take notes, but too stubborn to quit. She lived off discount soup, shared Wi-Fi, and whatever Audrey's family could spare. There were nights the hunger was so sharp, it felt like grief. And then the letter came, her last desperate hope, the scholarship that would get her to Berkeley. She opened the envelope with trembling fingers. "We regret to inform you." The words blurred. Her breath caught. She walked out into the alley behind the coffee shop and sat on a milk crate, staring at her cracked phone. She pulled up the number. Mom. Her thumb hovered over the call button. The voice in her head whispered, "You could end this now. Apologize. Swallow your pride. Go back home." And then a different voice, from behind her, real, present, Audrey's. "You're not calling her, Audrey," said arms crossed. "You call me." Samantha blinked back tears. "I can't keep doing this." Audrey didn't flinch. She just stepped forward and said one sentence. "Remember why you left." She was this close to going back, but one word from her friend kept her alive. Remember why you left. It started with a spilled latte. Samantha had been awake for 19 hours. Her eyes were blurry, her hands shaky. When the woman in the navy blazer ordered a non-fat caramel latte with extra foam, Samantha smiled, exhausted but polite. And then her elbow caught the cup. Splash! The coffee hit the counter. Some splashed onto the woman's sleeve. Samantha froze, horrified. "I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I'll remake it right away." The woman didn't yell, didn't sigh. She just looked at Samantha, really looked. "You've had a rough morning," she said calmly. "A rough few months," Samantha admitted, with a tired laugh as she wiped the counter clean. The woman smiled. She returned the next day, and the day after that, always ordering the same drink, always sitting at the same table with a laptop, watching Samantha. On her fourth visit, she handed Samantha a business card. Elaine Carson, marketing director. "We're hiring a junior assistant," she said. "No experience required. But you've got poise, manners under pressure, and sharp eyes." Samantha blinked. "You've been watching me," Elaine said. "I don't hire resumes. I hire grit." Samantha stared at the card. She was standing behind a coffee counter covered in milk foam and self-doubt, and someone had just handed her a lifeline. Samantha didn't walk into that office like someone who had it all figured out. She walked in like someone who was ready to figure it out. Her first desk was in a supply closet. Literally. No windows, one flickering light bulb. And stacks of old client files taller than she was. But she didn't complain. She studied, she listened, she stayed late and asked questions no intern dared ask. While others clocked out at 5, Samantha stayed behind absorbing everything. Campaign data, client patterns, how Elaine spoke in meetings. And then she saw a gap. One of the bakery clients had zero social media presence. Their foot traffic was down, their product excellent, but their reach invisible. Samantha asked if she could try something. Elaine shrugged. "Go for it. Just don't embarrass us." Samantha created a simple Instagram and Facebook campaign highlighting daily pastries, behind-the-scenes baking clips, and cheerful morning stories. 1 week later, the bakery's foot traffic was up 60%. 2 weeks later, they were trending locally. 3 weeks later, they had a line out the door. Elaine called Samantha into her office. "You did that?" she asked. "Yes," Samantha nodded. Elaine grinned. "You're not meant to follow," she said. "You were born to lead." She didn't serve coffee anymore. She served strategy. Elaine slid the check across the cafe table like it was no big deal. But Samantha stared at it like it might catch fire. $50,000. Elaine's personal money, not a gift, an investment in her. "You keep 85%, Elaine said. "I just want a front row seat to the empire you're about to build." Samantha couldn't speak, could barely breathe, but she nodded. 2 weeks later, Turner Marketing Consultants was born. The first office, a dusty 9x12 box above a dry cleaner. The AC didn't work, the carpet smelled like wet socks, and her desk was literally 2 filing cabinets with a door balanced on top. But it was hers. She built the website herself, she wrote the copy, took the calls, filed taxes, ran ads, talked to clients, cleaned the toilet. Some days she felt like a CEO. Most days she felt like a janitor with Wi-Fi. But every morning she opened that office, turned on the lights, and whispered, "One day they'll know this name." Her first real client almost walked. It was a boutique candle shop owned by a married couple who were thinking about it one minute and pulling out the next. Samantha had worked 3 weeks straight, pitch decks, ad mock-ups, slogan tests, and now they were ghosting her. She stayed late that night scrubbing coffee stains off the office floor when a cockroach skittered across her keyboard. She swatted it away, caught her hand on a metal edge, and sank to the floor, bleeding, furious, and completely alone. And then she cried. Not a polite tear, an ugly, shoulder-shaking, breath-snatching kind of cry. But when she stopped crying, she stood back up. She didn't cancel her domain name. She didn't delete the files. She got back to work. 2 weeks later, a small bakery that no agency would touch gave her a shot. No budget, no strategy, just a dream and a credit card. Samantha went all in. She redesigned their packaging, ran a playful Instagram campaign, partnered with local schools for Cookie Fridays, and made the baker the face of the brand. In 30 days, foot traffic jumped 300%. They had lines out the door, local press coverage, and a waiting list for custom orders. People started asking who did their marketing. The bakery pointed to Samantha. From cockroaches to contracts, she never blinked. It was a regular Tuesday. Samantha was in the middle of reviewing client analytics when a notification popped up on her screen. Local developer Marcus Wilson arrested for domestic violence. She stared at the headline, unsure if she was reading it right. Then she clicked. And there he was, Marcus, in a grainy mugshot wearing the same smug expression he had the night he proposed. According to the report, he'd been arrested for assaulting his wife. Plea deal, reduced charges, but the damage was done. His company dropped him. His name, once on plaques, was now in tabloids. Samantha felt cold, not because she was shocked, but because she wasn't. Her mind snapped back to that night, the velvet box, his hand on her lower back. His voice, "You don't need to love me. You just need to be mine." She remembered the way her stomach had twisted, the way her instincts screamed run. And now, seeing the truth spelled out in black and white, she didn't feel vindicated. She felt relieved, not just for herself, but for the girl she used to be. "I didn't just dodge a bullet," she whispered. "I dodged a lifetime of silence." It started like any bedtime conversation. Emma was in her red pajamas, hair still damp from her bath, clutching her favorite stuffed unicorn. Samantha tucked her in, kissed her forehead, and turned off the light. "Mommy," Emma's voice was soft, sleepy. "Why don't I have grandparents like Zoe?" Samantha froze. Of all the questions in the world, this one cut the deepest. Zoe, Emma's best friend, spent weekends with doting grandparents who baked cookies and took her to the zoo. Emma, she only had Elaine, whom she called Grandma Elaine, and that had always been enough, until now. Samantha sat back down on the edge of the bed. "They live far away," she said, keeping her voice gentle. "We haven't seen them in a long time." "Are they mad at me?" Emma whispered. Samantha's throat tightened. "No, sweetheart, it's complicated." Emma blinked with those wide green eyes, Michael's eyes. "Maybe we could visit them," she said. Just once. That night, after Emma fell asleep, Samantha stared at the ceiling, heart pounding. The past wasn't done with her, and suddenly she wasn't okay with that anymore. The man she was supposed to marry hit someone else. The daughter she did have deserved better. The wheels touched down on the tarmac with a soft screech. Emma squealed from her seat, pressing her face to the window. "Mommy, we're flying! We're really flying!" Samantha smiled, but her heart pounded. This wasn't a business trip. This was a reckoning. She reached across the aisle and took her daughter's hand. As the cabin door opened, warm Pennsylvania air filled the private jet. The stairs unfolded, cameras clicked. In Samantha's memory, a rewind of the night she left, soaked, rejected, erased. But now she stepped down in heels, blazer, crisp, daughter by her side. Not broken, not bitter, just ready. The rental car waited at the edge of the strip, sleek black Audi, engine purring. Emma climbed in full of questions. Samantha answered softly, eyes on the road, hands steady. 12 minutes later, they pulled into the driveway. It looked the same, the white fence, the shutters, the roses, but smaller, older. And then the door opened. Her father, thinner, grayer, wearing a cardigan despite the summer heat. He blinked. His mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. Behind him, her mother appeared in the hallway. Hair perfectly curled, face frozen. Samantha stood still, Emma's hand in hers. "Hi," she said quietly. "It's been a while." No one moved. No one breathed. For a full 5 seconds, the past and present stared at each other. The air inside the house smelled like lemon polish and old silence. Samantha took in the room she hadn't seen in 11 years. The furniture, the wallpaper, even the family photos, all untouched. As if time had frozen the moment she left. Her mother stood beside her, quiet, composed but clearly shaken. "We never changed anything," she said, voice almost a whisper. "Your room is still the same." Samantha's steps were slow, hesitant. She reached for the doorknob she once slammed shut in teenage fury and opened it. Same posters, same comforter, same scuff on the wall from when she threw her SAT book. It was like walking into a museum of a girl who no longer existed. She turned to her mother. Her voice was calm but direct. "Why didn't you ever call me?" Her mother's eyes glistened. She looked down at her hands. "Because I thought you didn't want to hear from me," her voice cracked. "But I was wrong, Samantha. I was wrong about everything." Samantha didn't cry. She just nodded once. The house hadn't changed, but she had, completely. They sat in the living room after dinner. The dishes cleared, the wine glasses still half full. Emma had fallen asleep upstairs, tucked in with her stuffed unicorn and a nightlight Samantha brought from home. Now it was just the four of them, Samantha, Michael, and her parents. No yelling, no accusations, just quiet. And then Samantha spoke. "If we're going to have any kind of relationship," she said, "there have to be boundaries." Her mother straightened slightly. Her father nodded slowly. "First," Samantha continued, "you don't get to control how Emma grows up. She is not a second chance at raising me. You will not shame her, pressure her, or decide who she's supposed to be." Her mother opened her mouth, then closed it again. "Second," she said, looking directly at her mother, "Michael is my partner. He is my equal. No passive-aggressive comments, no backhanded remarks." Her mother's lips pressed into a thin line, but she nodded. "And third," Samantha said softly, "I'm not here for guilt. I'm here for healing. That only happens if we're honest. From now on, truth only." The room was still. Then her father stood. He walked over to her slowly, his hands shaking slightly. "I should have stopped her that night," he said, voice cracking. "I should have fought for you, but I didn't. I was weak, and I've carried that guilt every single day." Tears streamed down his face. "I'm sorry, Samantha. I'm so sorry. I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I want one, if you'll let me." Samantha's throat tightened. Her walls stayed up, but her heart cracked open just enough to let the words in. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, but it did mean choosing peace over poison. The sun filtered through the trees, casting soft shadows on the grass. It had been 1 year, 1 full year since Samantha had walked back into that house, not as a daughter begging for approval, but as a woman defining her terms. Today, they were celebrating Emma's 6th birthday. Balloons swayed. Cake frosting melted under the sun. Children laughed, chased each other, and squealed with delight. Michael manned the grill flipping burgers. Audrey handed out juice boxes with her signature dry humor. And Samantha, she watched Emma run through the bubbles, her green eyes glowing with pure joy. Then her mother approached, holding an old Polaroid camera. "Let's take a photo," she said. Gentle, now aged, not just in years, but in wisdom. They gathered under the tree, Emma, in the middle, arms around her parents, her grandparents beside her. Samantha forced a smile. And then her mother said something that stopped her. "You don't have to smile if you don't want to, Samantha. The photo will still be beautiful." It wasn't just a sentence. It was permission, something Samantha had never been given before. She looked at her mother, really looked, and this time the smile came naturally. They tried to own her future. She came back and rewrote the past. You don't have to live the life others planned for you. Your path, your voice, your truth, they matter. Samantha Turner's journey reminds us that healing is possible, even after betrayal. That family doesn't just mean blood, it means boundaries and respect. And that standing your ground isn't rebellion, it's survival. Don't be afraid to rewrite your story, even if it means starting with nothing. Because sometimes starting from nothing is where everything finally begins. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever had to walk away to find your worth, then you belong here. Subscribe to Whispers of Life, where every story heals, empowers, and reminds you your voice matters, your story matters. Click that subscribe button and never walk this journey alone again.